Good morning, and good morning. How you doing today? Well, listen here, okay. I caught myself trying to do this really, really fast this morning, only because I have been so busy and it decided to have this glitch going on, which it says. So if you look at the title, it says Tenacity, Are You Stuck? It should be Are You Stuck? Nyctinasty. But anyway, that's the way it is. This morning I'll change that portion later. Good morning. How you doing? What's going on? How have you been the last couple of days? I've been good, been busy, but good, good, good. Have a big couple of big events coming up this weekend, starting with the Burger by the Bay. It's the battle. Actually, it's the Battle Burger by the Bay. It's 4 B's, Battle Burger by the Bay. It's this weekend at the Maritime Park downtown in Pensacola. So we're really looking forward to that. And I'm going to work pretty much all of the morning. And then I have another sneaker event that night that we're supposed to dress up with sneakers on. Well, I'm a flat shoe person, so I'm ready. I am ready, ready, ready. But anyway, I found this poem online, and it's pretty much speaking to Nyctinasty. Nyctinasty, it's about plants. And we don't even realize that we have big words associated with the things that we see all the time. And there's I think the plant I used today was the azalea bush. Azaleas close at night and open during the day. That is a Nyctinasty type of plant. So anyway, I wanted to just talk a little bit about that and how it kind of relates to our lives. Sometimes we shut down at night. We become quiet. We become stilled. We become peaceful. No worries at night unless something does happen. But during the day, we're alert, we're active, we're about, and that's what the flower does. The flower opens up during the day, letting all the light in, all the sunlight, all the oxygen that can take in, and all the water, everything that comes from the elements, it's taking it all in. So anyway, I found this poem about it, and it just kind of said, wow, that's really something. It talks about Nyctinasty or Nyctinasty, however you pronounce it. You can go online and listen to how it's pronounced. It's pronounced several kind of ways. But it says inhaling fresh air, and says filling lungs with oxygen. And it says the house of it, the awe of it, the beauty of Nyctinasty. And sometimes I am an admirer of plants. I just absolutely love plants. I'm not. I used to be really good at it. I'm not. I'm trying to get back into it a little bit. But when I had worked for the government for so long, I had a couple of plants. They were absolutely there. They were there. Reminder, be ready. Oh, it's giving me a note. But it had, my office was full of plants. And when I left, I was giving plants away, and I brought some home. And a couple that I had had for so long, I thought I could tend to them. But I don't know. There's sometimes the change of environment, the change of attention, the change of direction of the sun, or whatever was going on. I brought some of them home, and many of them, basically they died. So anyway, let's talk a little bit about Nyctinasty. It says Nyctinasty is plant movement, such as the closing of the flower's petals or the reorientation of its leaves position that occurs in response to changes in light intensity, such as the onset of darkness. And it's so funny because there's a plant that I just purchased recently when my daughter and I went to Fairhope, Alabama, and we saw all these plants, and I said, "Oh my God, they're just beautiful." But when I went out early one morning, they were closed because it was kind of a dark day. And I came back, and the sun was out, and they were out. I said, "Ooh, that!" So I look at things that occur in my life to actually speak on them. So that's how this word came to be today. And it says it typically just involves change. You're going to watch change in action. It says it should be nastic move, mastic movement of parts of some plants that occurs in the absence of directional stimulus. So the light stimulates it. No light, it becomes unstimulated and therefore it closes up. And sometimes that's us. Sometimes we open up with, things that are interesting to us, things that give us hope or love or challenge. We open up. But if we're not any of those things, we may be closed. We may not be interested in conversation or attention or interaction. So that's where that came from. And it basically talks about it being, something that is natural, nautical movement, light absence, and circadian. So that's what those plants that you see all the time that, during the day they're open and pretty and at night they close. And almost it feels like that sometimes that's what happens when we close up at night, not really having that or needing that type of attention. So when I break my word down this morning, I break down the N, starting with the N. This is a long word because usually I try to give you 5 to 6 words or maybe a 7 every now and then. But today, this has quite a few letters in it. So my N is for natural. This is a natural process. So even with us, whatever we're going through, if we're depressed or whatever, we're probably closed. If we're open, whatever, we're probably happy, excited, out there. So it's natural for us. It says, and it's also natural for the plants, existing and caused by nature, not made or caused by humankind. We can be affected by humankind, but it's not necessary that it's something that we as humankind has to deal with, that it will not or will occur. It will and can occur. So it talks about it being genuine, unaffected by interaction by others, real, it's honest, it's true, it's inherent, and it's essential. When you look at the nature of a plant, it's not worried about whether you water it or not. What its own concern is will it get enough rain? Will it get enough sunlight? Will it get enough oxygen in order to sustain itself? Sometimes the only time human has to enter in is if their plant's in the house and you have to water it, or if it's outside at an area where rain may not get to, you'd have to water it. And when you move on in the word, we talk about that natural means genuine, unaffected, real. It's honest. It's an honest occurrence. It's true. It's inherent. And in many instances, it's going to be essential. So we just think about words and how essential words are for us, but they may not be as natural for us unless we're learning them, like this word. Nyctinasty is the word. When we move on to our Y, so it's NY, my word is yard. We have to have a yard or we could have a windowsill, we could have a window pane, which I spoke about earlier. I think earlier in the week, we could talk about those things to sit our plants on, which may close at night and open in the morning, which makes them that Nyctinasty. So it says a yard offers the opportunity for a grassy area right outside the house that you may live in. And it says it's going to be the trees, the plants, the play structure, the bushes, the garden, the patios, the decks, the flowers, the grass. All those things would make up this I would say this area of specialness. Because when you have a yard that's well tended, my yard, the front yard's okay. The backyard needs some attention. Okay. So I need to up my level of what I'm going to do to make that yard more attractive to me to go out there in it. Well, I'm going to start with the fact I hate bugs. Love flowers, but hate bugs. And what do flowers attract? Okay, there you go. So many times I'm inside looking out at the flowers, but anyway, we'll move on in our word of Nyctinasty. Our C for today on our word is circadian. And circadian, of course, is a biological factor. It's a process recurring naturally or on a 24-hour cycle. So if you think about the fact that that at darkness, plants may close up, and during the daylight, they open up. That means it's on its own cycle. It says, even in the absence of light, there's going to be some fluctuation of how the leaves may flow or move or whatever, or the flowers may be an appearance of openness or closed. All that has to do with their circadian rhythm. And it says it may be day after day that it's on. It may be that periodically it's on. It may be seasonal. They may only do it during the summer months. It may be an annual flower. It may be perennial, meaning they'll come back next year the same time, like my azalea bushes do. And it talks about it being cyclic. It may be a thing that happens every single day, or it's its routine, and I think for those who are flower lovers, they know how flowers grow and how they grow, when they grow. I'm not that detailed. I just like flowers. I love them. In fact, the other day, I always go out and buy myself sunflowers, and I especially love the black-eyed Susies, which are just gorgeous, dark in the middle and the deep yellows on the outside of the daisy-looking flower. So that's my favorite flower. Used to be roses. I like them, but not my favorite. My favorite, really and truthfully, is the other. So we move on in our word for our T in Nyctinasty is tranquil. There's a period of time that flowers make people very comfortable. Good morning, Miss Rosie. How are you doing? Welcome, welcome, welcome. And thank you I see all the hearts. I have the heart for you too. Thank you so much. When we're tranquil, it says that we're free of disturbance. We're calm. Flowers are like that. They're free sometimes of all disturbance. Nothing is bothering them. Okay. The breeze makes their leaves and the flower itself move and gives you the beauty of what you're seeing. And then, there's still, if you're sitting out there near them, there's a tranquilness to it, a quietness. So it says tranquility offers calm, peacefulness, quiet time, a serene period, placid, and just a reserved period, just for you, if you like that kind of thing. I do. I love it. But if I see bees and stuff humming around, I'm probably going to be gone soon. But anyway, we move on in our word of Nyctinasty. We talk about the image. What image is portrayed when we look at flowers and we see them, being smaller in the morning and bigger in the afternoon, and then going and reverting back to being smaller later on in the evening. That's an image that we see. And says it's a representation of the external form of a person or a thing in act. So in this instance, it's not a person, it's the thing, which would be the flowers, or the leaves, or whatever it is that's doing this, this, I would say, this portrayal, this depiction of movement that we see that's different from maybe what we've seen before if we're a flower watcher. So it says the image is going to be the likeness. It may be the depiction, the representation, so that it's memorable, it's sustained after we finish seeing it. It could be the portrait of something that we just hold on to. And it forms a remembrance of, wow, that was very pretty. I love looking at that. We move on in our word of Nyctinasty. We look at what happens at night. That's the N of Nyctinasty. It's a period of darkness in which each 24 hours of the time is the time from sunset to sunrise. And it says it's going to be the darkness, the hours of darkness, the nighttime, the dread of darkness. Some people don't like the dark at all, so they only function well during the day. I have a friend that says that she remembers, I remember my mother saying it too, by the time it starts getting dark and you see that street light, you better be home and in the house, not outside, not even on the stoop. And, growing up in New York, that's how it was. We knew, and we couldn't even be far, even with it being light out. My mother had to be able to come out and see where we were. It wouldn't be that we were behind buildings, over up in trees. We couldn't, no, she didn't play that. It had to be visual. So the night, it says, is the period of darkness in which this 24-hour period takes place and starts from night to sunrise and then sunrise to dark again, to the nighttime. So it's the hours of the darkness. It's the nighttime. It's the time when sometimes people get in trouble. Let's face it. But it's also the time that we may be the quietest time of our day. It may be the less interactive we are with anybody. It's just our period of time. And sometimes we find that the nighttime is our regrouping, our period of time to, rejuvenate for the next day, getting it right. When we move on in our word of Nyctinasty, we talk about the A is action, what action happens. And action is the movement, the characteristics of what occurs with these flowers that are open during the day and closed at night. It says the process of being and doing something typically to achieve an aim. In this instance, the aim is that it's going to protect itself if it's not at night, it's going to be calm and closed up, those flowers, but during the day they're open. So that would be measurements, and it could be movement. It could be the act that takes place, the steps that happen. We always know what we're looking at in terms of the human form, but what about the biological form of plants? What happens to them? And so this is what it says, that they have their own series of steps that occurs in order for them to move and become vibrant during the day and obviously calm at night. That is what is considered action. So it takes steps, and there's movement, and there's the act of itself happening. The only time you'd ever be able to see it really well was if you had some kind of time warp, computer that allows you to see what happens quickly, but in less time than it's actually happening, because it happens really slow for them, for the plant. But for us to see it probably more proficiently, we would have to have something that's videotaping it for us. When we move further on in our word of Nyctinasty, we talk about the seeds. Plants don't grow unless there's been some form of seeding that went on. And says the seeds is the flowering plant's unit of reproduction. It's capable of developing into another such plant. So we don't just, good morning, Debbie. How are you? How are you? I know I gave you a crazy word today. Debbie is my scholar. Today's word is Nyctinasty. I know it's a crazy word. It is. It is. It's a crazy word, but I know you would understand it, because I think you like plants. So Nyctinasty is, of course, plant movement, closes at night, opens in the morning. And Nyctinasty is spelled Nyctinasty. Why did I pick this, Debbie? Miss Rosie? I picked it because I kept watching my plant. As I would go out in the morning, early in the morning, the plants would be closed, and I'd come back in the afternoon and they're wide open with beauty. I said, wow, I got to figure out what that is. So I absolutely looked the word up and found out that that's what it is, and that's what it does. So we're on seed. So far I've done Sarcadium, Tranquil or Tranquility, Image, what we see, that the fact that this works well at night, comes and revives itself for in the morning. There's action that obviously taken. So now we're on seeds. That's my S. And seeds are the flowering plant unit of the reproduction process, capable of developing into another such plant. And if we watch plants, which I am a plant watcher and I love to just sit and look at them, it says we might notice that there's been a stone placed in the soil, or a kernel, or a nut, or a pit, a germ, or ovule, all in the soil that eventually, and they also said there's a pip, PIP. So, you think about flowers and we don't even think about how. Yes, sweet talk. That's right. Some people sweet talk their plants. I used to talk to them. I don't talk to them that much because I'm not home that much. But in my office, I would go in the morning and I would say, good morning, little plants. How are you doing? And they would respond by growing. So that was important for me. I don't do it as much at home because I probably killed up every one of them that made it home from my office. But anyway, I do love plants and feel that they do need a little sweet talk to them. Um, I think I have a hen and biddy plant outside, and I've had that plant probably maybe 18 years, probably 18 years. The lady that gave it to me used to call me Mrs. Binborn, and I answered Binborn. I would always answer. I never changed my name for her. So she said, "Did this been born?" I said, "It certainly is." And she gave me that plant. Actually, her daughter gave it to me after she passed away because I'd always go to her house and visit her. And she was like, I think 92. And she would always say, "I don't know why you like that plant. I've had that plant for years, never do anything to it." So that's my kind of plant. That's my kind of plant that you don't have to do much to it, but it's still doing its thing. So anyway, yes, I do sweet talk. So anyway, my T, I'm down to my T, is time. Plants take time. We don't always have the time that we want to see the plants look good, but we think we should buy them. They should stay looking like that. Well, we buy them or someone gives them to us and we still do not do all we're supposed to do. Mm, mm. So anyway, it says to time, the time is the indefinite continued progress of existence in events in the past, the present, and the future, regarded as the whole. It says it's also a point of time is measured in hours and minutes past midnight or noon. There it is right there. When I'm talking about that circadian, I'm talking about the flowers that close at night and open during the day, that the deficit of not having light forms it where they close because they're not working on what's needed. Transplant and treat. Those are all good. Those are really good. Transplant and treat. I'm not good at transplanting anything. Every time the plant would be good in the pot it came in, but once I try to transplant it, Debbie, it's not right. It is not right. It just doesn't adjust. But treat, and you need to treat them well. You do. So the time talks about what hour, what time on the clock is it set that we know when to water plants, when not to water them, when to maybe give them more light, less light. So we have to read the directions. Okay. Time says that we know what time to do it in, how we need to make it live better and be beautiful. Sometimes we just want things to be beautiful and no time has been put in them. Trickery. I do think sometimes I've been tricked. I said, this plant, they told me this plant was easy to grow, and it really isn't, but I get that. So it talks about a schedule. Sometimes we need to schedule what days do we water plants. It's the same thing with ourselves. What days are our best days to be, or the time of day to be most productive, most excited about what we're going to do. Like if I were to ask you all the question, what time of day is your best time of day to be most open, most engaged, most happy? What would you say? For myself, it's early morning. I'm an early morning person. I can get up at 5, at 4 o'clock, write, think of things that nobody else would be thinking about because it's crazy stuff. Be creative with it, and then be ready to do a presentation by 9 o'clock. That's what I do all the time. Morning for you too. Me too. I'm a morning person. So our last word really speaks to what we need to do when we're looking at plants and the whole presentation of how we deal with plants. But I'm always using parallels. So I'm not just speaking plants this morning, ladies and gents. I'm speaking plants and us, the person you are. Sometimes you have to understand when you need things to come in, when you need things to be out. How we live, what light we need to shed on some things, what darkness we need to always remain in the dark, how we live our lives, what we are looking at. So my why is for my yield. When do I know when to stop? Just like the plant is automatically, made up to have it within its makeup to know that, okay, I'm up as long as the sun is out and the light I can see, and it makes me, my flowers want to blossom out. However, at nighttime, I'm done with everything. There's nothing that stimulates me. Therefore, I'm going down. I'm not going to be engaged in or needing to be engaged because I'm putting on my yield. So that's why I used yield for my last letter. Produce or provide a natural way of moving forward. It's how to come up with your own produce. I'm productive here. I don't need to be productive anymore. Knowing when to stop, bringing in understanding that my supply is when I have it to give, but when I'm done or I'm depleted for the day, my supply has been reduced to nothing. I go to sleep and I'll rejuvenate myself for tomorrow. That's how we do it. And then we flourish again and we blossom again. Yahoo, it's still alive. Yes. Yeah, tolerant. Yes, sometimes we do. We need to do all of that. We need to know what needs to be tolerated, how long we need to do it, all that. Sometimes we do. And we need to say our yahoos. That's good, Debbie. We need to say that we're done with what we're done with for the day. Sometimes we don't, but plants almost tell us how we need to, almost measure our days by understanding that time during the day gives us almost like a schedule for what we do during the day. And when it's time to shut down, we shut down. Now, I admit that I'm probably not a 24-hour person, but I'm probably a good, 16 hours where I'm doing something, you know. I try to get that 6 to 7 hours of sleep. I don't always get it. It should be 8 to 9, but I don't always get it because the brain also has to rest. Just like, the flower goes into rest. It goes into a mode where it hibernates itself. That's what we need to do. We don't always do that. We don't. But sometimes we just realize that we need to just pull back, do nothing. That's our yield. We produce limited stuff. We breathe. Yeah, we sleep. Yeah, we rejuvenate for the next round that we're going to encounter. And that's the way we do it. It says, ooh, come on now. You're on ever ready battery, girl. I am. I'm pretty busy. I am. But I'm gonna slow it down after I finish my I'm planning on, let me not lie. I'm planning on slowing it down after I finish my presidential role for my Rotary Club. But I look at life being just so interesting and enjoyable to me that, eventually the life I know, just like your own lives, will change. And so with that change, I will slow down. I eventually will, like the flower, I will die out. And so I'm looking at life on the happy side of up, move as much as I can, as often as I can, being as alert as I can, resting at night to rejuvenate is that's the only reason for those 6-8 hours of sleep. 7 hours, I won't lie. 6-7 hours of sleep. But the point is that I'm probably going to get up right back up and do something else that this whole process of Nyctinasty talks about, of opening up during the day and trying to close it down at night. So anyway, that is my session for today, my vlog. I hope you enjoyed it. It's a little different, but every time I will come at you every once in a while with something different, and I give you an idea of how it kind of coincides with our lives, to make it more understanding. And also the fact that these words expand our vocabulary and our understanding that words are so powerful, and words have a way of allowing us to have conversations with anybody. Y'all can speak to the president, you can speak to prime ministers, you can speak to whomever, as well as anyone on the street that may be struggling. But anyway, I love you guys. I appreciate the fact, if you don't do anything else, hit that button that just says, oops, I'm going to share this, share what I'm doing. And I will see you on Monday with another word. Be safe this weekend. Enjoy it. Get your rest at night and do your own Nyctinasty and blossom during the day. Okay. See you soon. Love you very much. Thanks. Bye-bye. See you, Deb. See you, Miss Rosie. I know there's some other people there, but y'all have a great weekend. Thanks. Bye-bye.